All right. Well, hello and welcome to the Scanning Pen's Advantages of Digital Technology and Literacy webinar. I'm Brian Patterson here with Amy Traynor, who will be our presenter today. This is brought to you by Scanning Pens. For those that are not familiar with Scanning Pens, we are a digital technology tool and device used commonly with low literacy learners, dyslexia, language learners, anybody who may struggle with reading, as it is a digital text device. So you'll notice at the top of the page, there is a free trial opportunity that you can click on. That'll stay up through the remainder of the presentation, but that does give you a 30-day trial. And we would appreciate if anybody would like to take advantage of that. It's 100% free. The only thing, if you decide at the end of it you don't want to do it, you just simply pay for the shipping, which is just a couple dollars, but you get that free opportunity to try it and check the device. So with that being said, now that I've got the sponsorship out of the way, I would like to just turn it over to you, Amy, and we'll let you go through it, and I'll touch base at the end if that's okay.
I'm glad you all could be here. A little bit about me, kind of how this is relevant for you to be tuning in, listening to me yammer for a little bit about one of my passion projects, literacy. I am an occupational therapist by trade and a certified occupational therapist, also assistive technology practitioner. I've been OT for 20 years, all of which, well, the first 20 were in the public school setting, supporting OT and assistive technology and training district-wide and various districts in Texas. I have two kids, both of them with some diverse learning needs. My oldest has ADHD and my youngest is dyslexic. And so that has really given me some really, valuable insight into what a kiddo needs at school and what a kiddo might need at home. And so we eat, sleep, and breathe literacy and support and dyslexia at my house. And so I'm here to share some of my experiences in the hopes that it helps you. So regarding students in school, we're talking about supporting kiddos with their literacy needs with digital technology. Every kiddo that's in school, we want to see go all the way to the top, graduate, get a degree, go on to post-secondary and some sort of successful employment, post-secondary education, something positive for themselves. And we know that the educational journey, it can be a little twisty and bumpy, and most kids are able to navigate that just fine, no big deal. But everybody has their own challenges, right? Sometimes we have a backpack full of pebbles. Sometimes we have larger obstacles, larger weights, like dyslexia, that may be wearing us down, slowing our trek through the educational process a little bit. So what we're looking at is finding the right tools to help lessen the weight of a backpack for these kids as they navigate. So let's talk about why that's important. I touched a little bit about helping students all the way through, graduate, get a degree, get their diploma, and go on. Here's a study. I think it really helps us kind of bring the importance of our technology, what we're going to be talking about. Why is this important? Well, this was specifically done about assistive technology, and where every student doesn't necessarily require assistive technology. The technology supports that we're talking about are more of a kind of a universal approach for our kiddos with high incidence disabilities, which is what a literacy disability is considered. So if you look at that table just real quick, I won't bore you with stats, but I'm kind of a data junkie, and this really helps kind of justify why we're doing what we're doing. So if you look at when students are using technology, they're in that first column with the numerals, versus when they're not using technology, students have a much greater, much more successful outcome to graduate. 20% more likely to graduate, a full 40%, twice as many students that have used technology through their educational experience have post-secondary employment. And then 30% more are able to hold down a paying job when they've had the experience and support of technology. So that's kind of framing the importance of what we're going to be talking about today. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at some tools, right? Lots of different tools in our toolbox for students to be able to access, depending on the tasks that they're needing to accomplish, right? We wouldn't use a lawnmower if we needed a weed eater. We wouldn't use a wrench if we needed a hammer. And so all of these things are valuable to support students during the educational tasks. Just depends what that task is. And so we're going to talk about some of my favorites and why they are and supporting different areas of literacy. Two things I always love to share is that for most people, this quote that's at the top, most people, technology makes things easier. For people with disabilities, however, technology makes things possible. In some cases, technology becomes the great equalizer and provides the person with a disability a level playing field on which to compete. And the other one that I love is Hecker and Eggstrom, and they want to make sure, and I always caution, that the use of technology is not to replace direct and explicit instruction, but rather provide access to grade level and course curriculum while skills are being developed through explicit instruction. So it's not an either or, it's a both. Teach and support. So with that, we're going to talk about one area that's really important for individuals who struggle with literacy. That can be very helpful is that text to speech. And so I've included here a research study. I think it's always important to be able to justify the decisions that you're being made that are being made for children, especially when you're talking about students in public school where there's that requirement for evidence-based intervention. So here's some evidence you can take back with you. Text-to-speech technology is an effective compensatory technique for struggling readers. Increasing reading comprehension with text-to-speech not only allows students with reading difficulties to access, but also comprehend text that is more commensurate with their typical peers. This has positive implications in overall academic success, self-esteem, and self-efficacy. So we're going to talk about a couple of resources for listening to printed text. Some of my favorites, one of which we'll start with is the Reader Pen, thanks to scanning pens. It really is one of my favorites. I'm not paid to say that. It is one of my favorites for multiple reasons. One, it's portable. Look at the size of that, y'all. It's the size of a highlighter, and it does all kinds of amazing things and can be used in places where some of our other tools cannot be used. So the features of that are listed here, that it reads the text. There's a dictionary. You can scan and save. You can do recording voice notes on this. It's obviously very portable. It doesn't rely on Wi-Fi. And I think one of my favorite things about the Reader Pen is that it really is discreet. So you can plug a headset in and listen to it all on your own, and nobody really has to know that you're having your text right there read to you, right? So it's really great for that. Like I said, it's highly portable, something that you can keep in your purse, keep in your backpack, whatever, and access on the fly. One of my other favorites for a different setting is web-based text-to-speech. So I've included two of my favorite resources here. If you're using web-based support, like on a laptop or a desktop, in a Chrome browser as an extension. These two tools I find have similar features and are the most user-friendly. Snap and Read Universal. It can read any text that's on the screen. It can read locked PDFs, can read anything. If you've got the text on your screen, Snap and Read can read it. You can use tools that will highlight and help provide some guidelines. It will also level text. For example, if you have a document that's written at a 12th grade reading level and you have someone that's not quite there, you can hit a text leveling, and the text will be changed within the document to a level that the user can read. It's dictionary support and translation, and similar to Read and Write. That's a Google product. Text Help put that out. They also read documents, the content, the PDF, provide very similar features, as I said. but they're just produced by different people. So their interfaces are a little bit different. And so it really is up to your personal preference. But those are two great ways to support that text to speech based on the web. And then we've got audiobooks, right? The tried and true audiobooks. These are two of the biggest providers. Learning Ally provides and has contracts with several states to provide those individuals, those students with print-based disabilities, access to digitized text. Learning Ally is fabulous because their books are all human read. So that is my daughter's personal favorite because they sound most natural to her. Bookshare is another great option. They have a very vast library. Given their history, they were previously reading for the blind and dyslexic, so they have a really large library, but all of their books are not human read. Many of them are digitized, which allows you to customize some of the listening options, but maybe not as friendly to the ear. And always remember to check your local library or the public library or your school library with Overdrive or Libby. Another feature of literacy that sometimes people separate, but are really, really interrelated when you get into the nuts and bolts of reading, is writing, right? That written expression piece. And if you think about it, the reading is decoding, but the encoding is the writing, the spelling piece. And so they oftentimes go hand in hand. So what we want to look at is make sure and support our users that are struggling with literacy with an opportunity to be efficient writers as well. So this sample is a legitimate sample that I had collected from a student who was highly intelligent. I think he was a junior in high school, maybe a sophomore, but he was at the end of his public school career, and you really can't read it. Very intelligent, didn't represent at all what he was capable of until we gave him some of these other tools. And here is some of that evidence to support your interventions, where this author in this article shares that the use of word processing improved written outcome produced in the classroom for students with writing disabilities and allowed them to structure and organize the text, decreased their spelling errors, and reduced their reading errors when reading their own written output. All right, so we're going to go on to look at some of the tools that we can use to support that, one of which, again, is the reader pen. So there's not a way for you to write with this, even though it looks like the highlighter, but some of the features are really supportive when you're doing your written expression, the written expression piece. And so it would be that dictionary. It would be able to scan some of that text that you're reading and then be able to augment it through word processing. That recorder piece, so if you're reading and you are composing, you can record what you want to compose and maybe go back and do that. And again, it's portable. So those are some really great features that support the written expression piece for someone who may be struggling with literacy. The tried and true, right? The word processing, as we have seen through the past year that we've experienced, the options for digital technology and word processing have really expanded. So some of the things that I like to just touch on with word processing, because everybody has their preferred platform, is that this provides the opportunity for you to use the keyboard for word processing, right? So I've included here a typingclub.com. That's a really great resource to develop the traditional 10-key keyboarding strategies. Spell check, obviously, is within all the documents and all the platforms that we use. The three that are the most frequently used are here with the Google Docs, Microsoft Word, and then obviously in your iOS tools, they also contain the autocorrect and the predictive text, which we'll talk about shortly. The other aspect of word processing and using digitals to support literacy is to be able to use your voice, right? This is actually my daughter's favorite way to compose things because she says, my brain goes faster than I'm able to write or think and be able to get my thoughts out. And so she really enjoys being able to speak what she wants to write It doesn't always come out perfect, but then she's able to go back and read it or have it read to her with another text reader, and to be able to edit and make it the way that she would like it to be. All of the major platforms have that option to be able to use your voice to type, as well as, like I mentioned in the previous slide, with the scanning pen, being able to use the voice record to get your notes, to work on a composition, and to be able to navigate that way.
Miss Amy.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick question.
Okay.
Somebody had actually brought up and asked, as far as the diversity of tools, because you are showing quite a few different options and tools and things like that. How have you found diversity in tools and having a toolbox of multiple avenues being the most successful ways to approach each of these children that you've worked with?
Well, I think everybody has a different need at any given point, right? So I think it's really helpful. Something that, maybe you have a kiddo who doesn't really struggle with anything except that literacy piece and reading. And maybe they're in a higher level math class and they're struggling to understand maybe a written problem and what they're being asked to do. So it's not that they can't compute the math, but they don't know what the words are that they're being asked to do. And so that is a great way, when they don't need any other technology to support, that you can pull out that reader pen, right? That's in the pocket of your backpack. I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to read what these questions are asking me to do, and I'm going to be able to work the math. Where then in another instance, that same student may walk down the hall to their language arts class where they're working on, a research report or something, and they're researching Yellowstone Park. I don't know, something, whatever pops into my head, right? And so they are now, and maybe that's the area that they're struggling with, that literacy, the written expression or the reading. They can pull up the research, they can use their screen reader on their laptop perhaps, and then they can use the written expression piece and pull up a Google Doc and be able to either, highlight and cut and paste, or use their voice to type, and have both supports in place in that classroom. And so the same student may be walking around with an iPad or a laptop that they may not need for every single subject, but they've got their reader pen that they do need in these other instances, maybe science, math, I don't know, any other given topic. Does that kind of get where you're wondering why you would need multiple tools? I guess, Brian? Yes.
Yep. Sorry. And that's one thing I wanted to point out, because I know in working back and forth with you, you were very big on making sure you have a toolbox full of tools, which we at Scanning Pens support very heavily, because we know that there is no one size fits all resource or solution, right? If we had an idea of a magic bullet that we could give to everybody, then it would be great, and we would do that. One of the things that I wanted to kind of pick up and mention, based off of some of the things that you've actually talked about, and I know I could wait to the end, but you got me so excited about it as you're talking here, as you're processing these different things, is the pen also has the ability to act as a keyboard or an input tool. And because we are a partner with Google, you can actually, scan directly to a Google Doc and things like that. And then you can leverage that into all the world of Google, whether it's the internet-based definition lookup, pronunciation, you can get it to read, translate. So there's all different variations of things that you can approach with that. So as you were talking about that, I just wanted to kind of pop that up, because we do make sure that we do everything we can to make it convenient for you to play, for us to play nice in the sand with all these other tools, because we understand and know that is important. So I just wanted to bring that up as well, and appreciate the fact that you do keep your toolbox very full of tools.
No, I appreciate you saying that. That's the thing with technology too, is that it's constantly changing and evolving, and we've seen that in a rapid sense the past 18 months. Almost, that we've been experiencing this new norm, and we're kind of coming out of with COVID, but things change all the time. And so it is important to keep on top of, if you can, all the changes. But that's great to know. And I'll make sure and change that in the information that I share, because I love that you can just put it right into a Google. So let's touch a little bit about other sorts of mobile devices. Everybody's got their phone or their iPad, and iOS has been super fabulous in being friendly to those with different needs, and have built-in supports, of course, but then also have other apps that are just kind of inherent with their products that are very user-friendly for all of us, really, but for anybody that might be struggling with literacy. So let's talk about first how I mentioned the predictive text. And I know some of us love it, some of us hate it, but if you are a struggling writer, that can really help with the predictive text in knowing the words and how they're spelled and what needs to happen, or the opportunity to use your voice to dictate. We've all been stung by it, right? We all say something that doesn't quite come out right. But if you're using it to author something and have the opportunity to review it before you hit send, it's a really neat and valuable tool. The Notes app, that is just one of those things that comes with your iOS device, and it is really user-friendly. They add stuff to it also all the time. You can do your checklists, you can scan documents, you can make handwritten notes, and then be able to import those into other things. Brian, did you need something? Just showing us your face. Awesome. All right. Another is SnapType. So this is a really cool app, and I think it was actually developed by an occupational therapist that allows the user to take their iOS device, usually an iPad because the size is better, and be able to snap a picture of a handout. So you're sitting in that language arts class, teacher hands you a worksheet, and you're thinking, gosh, I don't know that I really can fill this out legibly. I want to archive this, whatever. The user can just take a picture with their iPad and then be able to use digital text or their voice to be able to complete the worksheet. That's really helpful when that written expression legibility component comes into play. There's another app that is not on here, but if you have the Snap and Read that we mentioned as far as a screen reader earlier, if you have that, the app also will, there is an app version, an app complement to Snap and Read that allows you to use your iPad in the same capacity. And then the audiobooks, right? Those are fabulous. They are portable. These are the apps that are complementary to those resources that we touched on earlier with the Learning Ally link. A couple of apps that you can use for Bookshare, they have their Dolphin Easy Reader or Captive Voice. The Learning Ally link is free. There are various Bookshare apps. Some are free and others are paid. And then Overdrive and Libby are your public library apps. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, have some dialogue. We've got our kiddo there. He looks pretty successful with his backpack full of resources and tools to start his successful journey.
So just a quick question for you. For one, you've been in the OT and AT world for quite a long time. And I know you have a lot of different resources yourself that you've put together. You're part of several groups and things like that. Just go ahead and share with the folks where they can also find more of the things that you've done, because you've got some great newsletters and articles out there that you've put out with some of the groups. So go ahead and share that.
Okay, so I am a contributing author to the Dyslexia Initiative, is a not-for-profit. They put out a quarterly newsletter. I've been honored to write a column we named Alphabet Soup for their readers. It's been a really fun way to share more information and more of my expertise with other people that are passionate about dyslexia or impacted by dyslexia. I'm also working closely with a coalition of other groups and other parents in Texas, working on a lot of legislative efforts, regulation changes through the Texas Education Agency, all kinds of things going on at the state level, working towards improvement for students with learning disabilities and special education needs. I'm trying to think. And I contract with the National Center for Learning Disabilities, so I help run their parent panel here in Texas. And I'm a parent, so that keeps me pretty busy too. So I also have my own consulting E-Squared Alliance, which this is why you see the email address on the screen.
Awesome. And if you would you mind sharing what is it that has kept you passionate all these years in the world of dyslexia, in the world of struggling readers, OT, and things like that? I know you have a little bit of a personal tie as well, and it's been kind of a lifelong mission for you to accomplish a lot of this stuff. Why is that?
I was always drawn to support kiddos in public school that had diverse learning needs, even when I was a student in high school. I didn't really know OTs were a thing where I grew up. We always heard PT and you always heard speech, and I didn't want to do either of those. I didn't want to, lots of things that I wasn't really interested in. And then OT kind of fell in my lap. I actually went to college as a journalism major on a journalism scholarship. And I took this 1 hour class to fill a hole and learned about OT and thought, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I want to do. And so I quickly changed direction and, really fell in love with the thought of being skilled and developing my own skill set to be able to support people to do what they want or need to do. And particularly students, students and children, their job is to go to school and to be successful. And they don't get a choice with how they are brought into the school setting. They come with their own strengths, their own challenges. And it's so rewarding to be able to take those strengths and identify the challenges and be able to support them to be the best version, the most successful version of them as they go through the school process. So that for me as an OT has been very rewarding. Love to see those kinds of successes. And then lo and behold, several years down the road and into my career, blessed with a couple of kiddos. And, with the ADHD, that's been its own challenge. But then I always thought, gosh, I think my youngest might be the easy one. And then we end up dealing with dyslexia and having some pretty significant struggles through elementary school, and really recognizing how what is needed for success. And my skill set as a therapist with that kind of science background has really helped kind of pave the road and facilitate some better understanding in the reading brain and how we can better develop our readers and support them as we're developing into efficient readers. So really,
you have somebody who's passionate in the world that they service. So it becomes more of a personal mission, and that's where I see a lot of things getting done. So I do appreciate parents just like yourself. I just wanted to go ahead and let everybody know that you can reach out to us, in regards to the free trial. Again, you have the banner up at the top to click, or you can go to scanningpins.com and get that free opportunity to try that for 30 days. We are a very proof is in the pudding type company. It's not often that people will just send out a device that is, such as this and just say, go for it. So we do want you to have that opportunity to do that. If you would go ahead and click on that. Other than that, I know your time is important, Amy, as well as everybody that's here viewing. So it looks like we've kind of wrapped up on the questions. Again, I encourage everybody to go check out Amy's writings on Alphabet Soup. It is very, very fun to see how that all has progressed and changed and very informative. So thank you so much for joining us today, Amy.
Of course, I would say everybody go try that pen because it really is a unique tool for your toolbox. Has a definite role for sure.
Wonderful. And again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We will put you in contact with the rep that is in your area. Other than that, have a wonderful day, and thanks so much for joining us. Take care, and you have a great day, Amy.
Thank you. You too.